Welcome back to another episode of Here They Come. I'm Kate Lockhart.
And I'm Paul Ramlow.
First up this week, Paul, there's some unfortunate news about Il Villaggios. Myron Bell issued a release saying the horse injured his leg while in the paddock, and unfortunately it looks as if his sophomore season is already a wrap. There was high hopes for this horse, had a great 2-year-old year, won the Bluegrass Stakes down in Kentucky, the William Wellwood, the New Jersey Sire Stakes, and it looks as if we're not going to see him on the track in 2010.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Il Villaggios was the O'Brien Award winner last year as the top 2-year-old trotting colt in Canada. He earned $464,521, took a mark of 155-4, and won 6 out of his 8 starts. In other news regarding 3-year-old trotting colts, the first major stake of the season, the $156,000 Dexter Cup Kate, will take place this Saturday at Freehold Raceway, and trainer Ray Schnitker has a trio of starters in the Dexter Cup. Schnitker, who drove and trained Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe to the 2008 Hamiltonian Championship, as well as Trotter of the Year honors, has USTAs Back, who won last Saturday's Dexter Cup elimination. He also has Big Stick Lindy and Flex the Muscle. So it looks like Ray Schnitker has a good chance of getting off to a great start this year in the Dexter Cup.
Yeah, he's got a great stable of 3-year-old trotters, and I noticed that 4 of his horses, USTAs Back, Flex the Muscle, Big Stick Lindy, and Cassis, are all eligible to the Hamiltonian. So Ray seems to think that they've all got a chance. He says they're not the top 5 horses, but it'd be great to see if he's at least got one that makes it to the Hambo this year. Well, Paul, yesterday we heard from Mike Tanner, the USTA, about Back to the Track, which is his idea for the National Day at the races. It's going to take place August 14th and 15th.
Yeah, plenty of details will be coming up in the forthcoming days and weeks, and you can keep up with all the latest on Back to the Track at the website backtothetrack.ustrotting.com. And in this week's interview segment, Kate caught up with Mike Tanner, who shares his thoughts on Back to the Track.
Mike, where did the idea for Back to the Track come from?
Really from brainstorming sessions this winter. A bunch of us were talking about how we got interested in harness racing, and almost exclusively we'd been introduced to the game through the live track experience. In my case, it was going to the racetrack, Liberty Bell and Brandywine specifically, with my uncle back in the mid to late 70s. And obviously we've noticed with new ways to deliver wagering to the public via the internet and off-track betting and whatnot, track attendance has declined. We still think there's a great product to be experienced live and in person, and so we started talking about how we might create a dedicated day to bring people back to the track, and it kind of went from there.
And where are you now in the planning process?
Basically rolling it out, ready to make the introductions after having had conference call discussions with 18 racetracks during the last week of April and horsemen's organizations from across the country during the first week of May. The response has been very enthusiastic. They've seemed to buy into the concept, and we're prepared to do everything that we can do here at the USTA to make this date a success.
And how did you decide on the dates?
A couple of factors played into that. We wanted to card the event at a time when there wasn't as much competition for attention out there. In other words, before football season got started, before the Major League Baseball races really heated up. We looked towards the end of July into August and determined that the middle of August would be the best time for us. We originally were looking at August 21st, but then decided to move it back up to August 14th in order to include the Meadowlands as part of it. They were forced to move their August 21st card due to an NFL preseason game being played at Giant Stadium. So at any rate, we established consensus, and August 14th it was, and we're looking forward to that.
So what kind of experiences can harness racing fans expect on that day?
Probably anything and everything. We're trying to kind of break down the wall between our fans and the sport itself. I would love to see racetracks provide paddock tours and starting gate rides, visits to the announcer's booth, driver autograph sessions, handicapping contests, but we're leaving that up to the racetracks. It's not a one-size-fits-all promotion. It's really whatever the racetrack thinks they can do or want to do. And again, so far, the responses and the creativity that we've received and experienced with the racetracks is very encouraging. I think there's going to be a wide array of things for people to do.
We both know harness racing fans are a dedicated bunch. I'm sure people are wondering how they can help make Back to the Track a success. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Absolutely, because they're critical to the success. I would like to see everyone who's a fan of the sport, everyone who's a USTA member, go out to the races on August 14th, or if their local track is dark on that Saturday, then Sunday, August 15th. It's kind of a weekend thing, I should make that clear. And tell people, bring people with you. If you love harness racing, if you like harness racing, share it. Bring people out. We're going to provide, and the racetracks are going to provide, a day that goes beyond an ordinary day at the races. It'll be fun. It's something that you should do. Bring your friends. And, you know, for one day, it's not too much to ask the industry to put its best foot forward, into something that we can all feel good about. And I think this event can do that.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for sharing your insight. We look forward to Back to the Track in August. Well, the Little Brown Jug Fantasy Contest is now open. Contestants age 18 and over can play for free and can win any of 50 prizes topped by a package that includes box seats for the 2011 Jug, admission to the Hospitality Pavilion, 3 nights at the Sheridan Suites, a $250 betting voucher, a ride in the starting gate, a chance to join the Jug Trophy presentation, and more. Details, including the complete rules governing play, may be found online at www.jugbarn.com. Should be interesting to see how the folks pick these horses, drivers, and trainers for the Jug Fantasy Contest leading up to the September Classic, Kate.
Yeah, it's interesting, Paul. Now that fantasy football and fantasy baseball have become such phenomena on the internet, it's great to see harness racing's got its own fantasy contest and anyone can participate, anyone over the age of 18. If you'd like to learn more about it, go to jugbarn.com. The first race of the contest is the Hoosier Cup, so be sure to make your picks before May 29th, the day of the Hoosier Cup.
And jugbarn.com is a joint venture between the Delaware County Fair and the U.S. Trotting Association.
Next up, this week's Hollywood Minute, featuring Bob Hollywood Heyden and Nicole Kraft, brought to you by Hoofbeats Magazine, reporting with horsepower.
Well, Bob, I got a call from Myron Bell the other day with the news that you never want to hear Il Villaggios not coming back.
Yeah, the number 1 ranked colt and Stan Bergstein's experimental is not coming back. You know, this is a little reminiscent of last year. Remember when the top 2 2-year-olds in 2008, Major and Art and Nebula Penizer, neither one made it back. So it's it happens. This is not the kind of thing obviously you want to hear, but you know, with the 2-year-olds, they race pretty hard, and sometimes you know, the 3-year-old season just doesn't happen. So we'll have to root for the best. Maybe we'll get to see him as a 4-year-old.
But we do have some good 3-year-olds coming back this weekend. We have the Berries Creek on tap, and stakes season's really kicking off now.
That's right. We'll start with the graduate eliminations. As Shark Gesture will try to win it back-to-back. Hasn't been done in 14 years, and he couldn't have looked any better finishing second in the seasonal debut. The Berries Creek is up. It's a very interesting race. A lot of good horses are popping out. Foreign Officer, a nice comeback mile from his second start of the year. Western Ideal has been hot so far. He has Ideal Matters out there. Irv Miller will try to win the Berries Creek. Now, George Brennan had his choice of 4 in the elimination, chose Foreign Officer. George won this race back in 1996, his first time ever in the race at the Berries Creek with Hot Lead, and also in 2001 with Gun that won the West. Joe Seacon won this race last year with Andy's Western card, as did Sire Western Hanover, who had 4 Breeders' Crown winners last year. That's an all-time record. Fred and Ginger had a nice debut and then was third last week. The Burks won this race with Blue Ridge Western back in 2008. Real Artist comes off his best year. And Tim Tetrick be looking for his very first Berries Creek. How about Rock and Roll Heaven? Last year he had a couple of sub-150 miles as a freshman from the first crop of Rock and Roll Hanover, almost 600,000 last year. And he's the son of the 3-time series final winner at this track, Artistic Vision. So it could be a little home cooking for Rock and Roll Heaven. European Union just keeps on improving. No Pan Intended Son is a homebred for Peter Pan, and if European Union keeps on improving, you should be getting a big chunk of this pot. And Kyle Major might be the favorite at post time. This will be Jody Jameson's choice. Monty Gelrod has won this race a couple times with Association with Bill Robinson back in 94, Camps Cardchalk and Mach 3. Remember, Kyle Major was third in the Breeders' Crown last year and is owned by Bob Hamather. No stranger to top horses. He campaigned the 1993 Horse of the Year, Staying Together.
Well, you got a pick in here. Who do you think's going to win?
I think it'll be Kyle Major. I was very impressed with his start last week, first over the track. He took pressure from Rock and Roll Heaven, and I won't say laughed it off, but he held it off pretty confidently. And if there's an improvement from start 1 to start 2, which is expected, I think Kyle Major is the horse to beat.
All right. Well, we wish all them luck, and we hope you have a great week.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Bob and Nikki. Well, Kate, it didn't take our new USTA handicapping columnist Steve Carpenitos long to make a splash. He made one play in his column last week, picking the pick 4 at the Meadowlands. The $72 partial wheel ticket that he suggested people play came in and paid $16,000 plus, of which you'd get half of that if you would have made his play on the dollar ticket.
You know, it's funny, Paul. I played the Derby this past weekend, and when I saw this story, I thought, man, if only I played that pick 4 at the Meadowlands and followed what Steve suggested with his ticket there. I hope someone out there took advantage of his picks and made a little money for themselves.
Yeah, Steve Carpenitos' selections are free, and they can be found online every Friday at handicapping.ustrotting.com. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Here They Come. We'd like to thank Mike Tanner, Nicole Kraft, Bob Hollywood Heyden, and our producer, Rich Johnston. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Kate Lockhart.
Join us again next week for another episode of Here They Come.